Dr. and Mrs. Sullivan Jackson and their young daughter Joanna opened up their doors in early 1965 to their friend, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his Southern Christian Leadership Conference in order to help in the ongoing voting rights movement that was taking place in Selma.
It's where they sat around the dining room table and planned aspects of the movement. And it's also the place where they watched on TV President Johnson's address.
This is a huge, huge, huge project. We need a team of curators to do this. People who understand history and architecture and historic preservation. People who had the expertise to look at the photographs, the architecture, the interiors, the wallpaper, everything that's involved, and then read it and understand it and know what to do to preserve it.
As curators, we're starting to assemble everything that we need to take this house back to that moment in 1965.
Literally going room by room by room by room by room. Look at this artifact. What is this? Look at this piece of furniture. What do you think it is? So that started giving me a sensibility of the Jacksons' taste. Late 50s, early 60s, upper middle class taste is what I was getting at. Affluent. These are all adjectives that started popping in my head. When we look at these walls, one of the things that intrigues us is what is the bottom layer? What started out in 1919 when this house was built?
We are so fortunate to have so many of the furnishings that were in this house in 1965. But we also have photographs of the inside of the house taken about that time period that are guiding us not only where to place that furniture, but also what things we need to find.
And what's nice for us is that in some rooms, a lot of the public rooms, they put a coat of sheetrock, in other words, drywall, on top of it, which basically sealed it as a time capsule for us.
Peeling back the layers is actually really a slow process, and I use tiny tools, a variety of solvents, and I work under the microscope. It's like detective work. You're trying to figure out what was there.
Yeah, it's certainly forensic analysis. We do historical paint analysis. We use archival evidence. We use accounts of what the house looked like at that time.
And we have the book that Richie Jean Jackson wrote, The House by the Side of the Road, that talks about some of these things.
We study that book, and she'll paint us a picture. In many cases, there are some really important things that we can pull out of there.
Richie Jean, in this way, is helping to guide us as we restore the house, as is her daughter, Joanna Jackson, who shares her memories of the house with us.
So you look at the evidence, you also look at stratigraphy. You look at where things are. For example, wall treatments. What are the layers or the floors? You look at the layers and say, okay, what looks more recent to you, looks older. We do all this work to get it right. We're trying to be as accurate as possible to get what they had back here so that the public sees the most complete, accurate representation of what we can come up with what they had. But also, we're doing this for the future.
Once opened in 2026, the Jacksons' home, much like the Montgomery bus behind me, will continue to inspire generations by opening up its doors once again to a public who is yearning to be inspired by the Selma to Montgomery marches of 1965.